Namaste. This is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today is the 6th of July, 2019. Following is the Vedic astrology chart for the time of the Ridgecrest 7.1 earthquake that happened last evening, July 5th, 2019, at 8:20 p.m. in Ridgecrest, California. Now, this will just be a brief interpretation for the advanced students of systems approach to Vedic astrology. So this gives Danu Lagna, Sagittarius rising, at the time of birth. The ninth sign of the zodiac was ascending or rising at 23 degrees 29 minutes of Sagittarius. This is a fire sign ruled by Guru, by Jupiter. And Jupiter is the dispositor, the landlord for Saturn and Ketu. Both of these are in Sagittarius, so they're ruled by Jupiter, which is in the 12th house. This is a Dustan Baba, inauspicious house. So Jupiter becomes utterly weak in this house. We also see that Ketu, the southern node of the moon, at 23 degrees, is exactly on the ascendant degree, 23 degrees. And Saturn is conjunct Ketu at 23 degrees. Now, Saturn for Danu Lagna, for Sagittarius, is absolutely a favorable planet. Saturn is not causing harm whatsoever. Its Multracone sign falls in the third house, Aquarius. So Saturn is rendered a functional, benefic planet, will never cause harm. For Sagittarius, we know that Sun, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn will never cause harm because their Multracone signs fall in favorable houses. Multracone signs take precedence when we are evaluating a graha, a planet. But this rising sign degree is not an arbitrary number. 0 to 30 is possible in every house. This number changes every 4 minutes of the day. So it's based on the exact time of birth for any chart. This is such an important number. It's called most effective point of every house. Any planet close to the most effective point will have an impact. And especially if Rahu and Ketu are close to the rising sign degree, then they will afflict the houses they occupy and the houses they aspect. Ketu throws an aspect 5, 7, and 9 houses away. Rahu throws an aspect 5, 7, and 9 houses away. So for this chart, Rahu and Ketu are afflicting the first house of self, third house of self-initiatives, fifth house of mind, children, investments, pets, seventh house of relationships, ninth house of guru and good fortune, 11th house of income and friendships. But that means that they also undermine the strength of the Multracone sign rulers. In other words, Jupiter becomes weak, Saturn becomes weak, Mars becomes weak, Sun becomes weak, and Venus becomes weak. So there's no protection for this chart. Additionally, Mars, ruling property, is in its debilitation sign of Cancer and in the 8th house of Dustan Baba. We know, using systems approach, that 9 houses are favorable. Of the 12 houses, 9 are favorable. The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, and 11th are considered favorable houses. Those astrologers that still think the 2nd house and the 7th house of Maraka houses, death-inflicting houses, are not using their brains. The 2nd house is wealth, status, and continuation of family life. The 7th house is marriage, relationships, partnerships, and joint ventures. We want those houses to be strong. We want the rulers to be strong. We want those houses to be free from any afflictions. If a person has good wealth, status, family life, good relationships, partnerships, and marriage, then they are successful and they have time for God. If these houses are afflicted, then the person does not have time for God. They are always in trouble. But this chart shows that there's a lot of weakness because of Rahu and Ketu on the most effective point. And this close conjunction of Saturn and Ketu started the first week of April 2019. And if it was for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, it would not be so serious. But this is for 7 months, from early April to late October 2019. Right now, this is very serious because they're an exact conjunction from the 1st of July to the 12th of July. Again, they will separate for a little while, but come back together in September. But they will always stay within 1, 2, or 3 degrees of each other for the 7 months. And that's why this is a very difficult time worldwide. Saturn rules the masses. It rules immigrants. It rules the elderly, the poor and the needy, working class persons, manufacturing, agriculture, things of the earth, including global warming, oil, gas, minerals. All these things are quite vulnerable. So we are vulnerable right now to earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, fires, volcanoes, tsunamis, cyclones. This can set up pandemics. This can be connected with war. This is a very, very difficult and rare and slow-moving transit. Now, the good news is that in November, Jupiter will move into Sagittarius for the entire world. That'll be a much, much better year. November 2019 to November 2020 should be much more favorable because Jupiter in Sagittarius is in its own Multricone sign. Guru and Danu. But until then, we are definitely in for a rough ride worldwide. But Mars ruling property is debilitated in the 8th house of accidents and death-like experiences. Mercury ruling the 10th house of the field of action and karma is also in the 8th house of accidents and death-like experiences. Moon is the most malefic planet for Sagittarius. In this case, it is not on the rising sign degree, so it does not afflict this house. But it's in a house afflicted by Ketu. And Moon rules the 8th house of death-like experiences. So those people that suffered the 7.1 earthquake were having death-like experiences. So there's no protection in this chart. We can also check the 1/9 divisional Navamsa chart. You see that Jupiter ruling this chart is debilitated in this chart. And same thing here, Rahu and Ketu are afflicting 6 of the 12 houses. In this Scorpio, we still read the divisional charts just like we read the natal charts. So we would say that for this chart, Venus ruling the 12th house and Mars ruling the 6th house are functional malefic planets. So this Mars 4th aspect is on this Venus. The 8th aspect is on Moon and Rahu. And Rahu's 5th aspect is on Mars and on Saturn and on Jupiter. And Ketu's 5th aspect is on Sun. So this was quite a dangerous chart. So this earthquake took place during the Ketu Mahadasha, Ketu main period, and the Mongol subperiod, Mars subperiod. It started in April 2019. So where's Ketu? Ketu is afflicting the 1st, 5th, 7th, and 9th houses. And Mars is debilitated and badly placed. And its Multricone sign Aries is under the affliction of Ketu. So no protection. By the way, some astrologers will go 3 levels deep in dashas, 4 levels deep in dashas, 5 levels deep in dashas, and will use several different dasha systems in addition to the Vimshottari dasha sequence. Professor Chowdhury used to say that those astrologers using so many techniques are on a ring road in New Delhi. They're traveling in circles, never arriving anywhere. We want to arrive somewhere. So we only take Mahadasha as a general trend or riverbed of time. We take the Antradasha as the current operating planet, the hands on the clock. And then we simply overlay the transits in the chart. So there must be some protection going on, because this could have been even worse than it was. If this 7.1 took place exactly in downtown Los Angeles or San Francisco, that would have been a huge disaster. So very important to watch the transits, but this is a difficult one here with Rahu and Ketu both at 23 degrees, afflicting Saturn at 23 degrees for the entire world. And at this particular time, the ascendant was 23 degrees.